Millions of people today wouldn't know how to live without Facebook, but how do you put a value on that pretty face? Well, that's something that INSEAD Adjunct Professor of Strategy Annet Aris and some colleagues at Wharton did to actually look at the Facebook dilemma and do a case study on how you value Facebook. And this was the first Wharton-INSEAD joint case study.
Yes.
So it's groundbreaking.
It is a new step in the Wharton-INSEAD alliance.
Some of the numbers that you use in the case study actually quote prices paid by Microsoft and others who bought stakes,
yes,
valuing, one valued Facebook at 10 billion, another at 15 billion.
Yeah.
Pretty widespread.
Yes.
I mean, where did those numbers come from? How?
That we wonder too, and it was actually the trigger for the case that when we saw, as bits and pieces of Facebook got bought, that actually the underlying valuation seemed to be so widely dispersed. And so we were actually thinking, A, what is the logic those companies used when they decided to buy? And B, what kind of methods did they use to value? And so basically that's how the whole discussion started.
It struck me a little bit like the internet bubble, when people were projecting multiples into cyberspace and then the whole thing came crashing down. Is there a danger of that here?
What you see with internet businesses, that some of the businesses, and those are the ones which have become really, really big, they have the so-called external network effects. Namely, the more people use it, the more value the network it gets. So once you get a certain critical mass, it gets really, really difficult to beat that company because the value increases exponentially. And you have network effects which can have to do with the number of consumers. You can have network effects, for example, with Google, which has to do with your advertisers. You can have network effects like, for example, with Apple, which has to do with your product suite. And once you have real strong network effects, then you have a winner. And what you see then, like companies like Google, who didn't earn money for a long time also, basically they first got the network effect in place, and then they found a model to monetize. And they did trial and error, and then they hit the gold pot. And we all know what happened since then.
The whole Facebook, whole online social networking phenomenon is still unrolling. It's not really mature enough yet maybe to value.
That's exactly the problem. We all know that there's a lot of value in all the information, all the loyalty of all these consumers on Facebook. There's enormous growth rates. There is some thinking in the direction where the revenue might come from, but it's not very concrete yet.
How will technological developments change the development of Facebook? We have different platforms, different contents.
Yeah, well, you will have an enormous development in devices. The tablets like iPad will again have a very different way how people interact with media. You will have the whole movement to cloud computing, where basically people don't have the content anymore on their computers but go to the cloud. And with the cloud computing, the interesting question is it only works with server parks. And who own the server parks at the moment? It's the Googles and the Microsofts and the Amazons of the world, and not the Facebook. So that's again going to be, as the world moves to cloud computing, that's going to be a very interesting dynamic of how is that going to work.
Bringing out your crystal ball.
Yes.
What's waiting in the wings to overtake Facebook?
If you go for basic needs, at the moment most of the basic needs are pretty much fulfilled. And it might be that someone might figure out a better way to do things, even much better than Facebook does it, or better search than Google does it, and then they might take over, because consumers really are very, very quick in picking up things which add real value and shifting to it. However, given all the external network effects and the advertising network from Google and the consumer network of Facebook, it's a big barrier to entry.
It is, but you never know what you really need until you've used it for a while. So
yeah,
maybe
that's what everyone is hoping up for.
Thank you very much, Annette, for being with us on INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you.